Welcome to the Primary Languages CPD series, Part 2, Statutory Language Learning in England. My name's Claire Seckham and I'm a languages teacher and independent consultant. You can read a lot more about what I do with regard to primary languages on my blog, and you can see the URL there. Any resources that I show you, you'll be able to find on my website, Lightbulb Languages. The big question then for this video is, in which key stages is learning a foreign language statutory? Unfortunately, foreign language learning is only statutory in key stages 2 and 3. Some schools choose to teach it in early years and/or in key stage 1, and in secondary schools some students opt to take it or are obliged to take it in key stage 4, but it is only statutory in key stages 2 and 3. Here's the overview from the National Curriculum documentation. It's worth noting that languages is the only subject apart from citizenship that is statutory in only 2 key stages. Knowledge of other languages and their cultures is important. During a debate in January 2026 in the House of Lords, Baroness Cousins quoted these statistics. Research from Cambridge University has shown that if we spent more on teaching French, Spanish, Arabic and Mandarin in schools, the UK could increase its export growth by £19 billion a year. Other research shows that the lack of language skills in the workforce costs the UK economy the equivalent of 3.5% of GDP. Secondly, students who have spent a year abroad building their international and cross-cultural experience, as well as their language skills, are 23% less likely to be unemployed after graduation. She then went on to say, "It's a myth that everybody speaks English. On the contrary, only 5% of the world's population are native English speakers, and 75% speak no English at all. AI and machine translation are no substitute for human communication with its nuance, slang, humour and accuracy, which trump AI tendencies to confuse and hallucinate, confuse numbers and names, or fail to deal with dialects or tonal languages." The 7 years of compulsory language learning is therefore crucial. It's so important that we make the most of them and enable students to achieve. The importance of the age 7 to age 14 language learning continuum and lifelong language learning were one of the main themes of discussion of the aforementioned House of Lords debate. We want to make our students enthusiastic about language learning and for them to get off to a flying start in secondary school, to continue to do well and to opt for GCSE languages and from there to become lifelong language learners. This of course brings us on to the subject of transition. I first started working in the realm of primary languages just over 20 years ago, and we were certainly discussing transition then, and it was a theme at conferences. I haven't seen any real improvements in transition in that time. The annual language trends reports, published by the British Council, give an idea of the success of transition over the years. Admittedly, the sample of schools in the language trends reports is never huge, but they provide a useful snapshot of the general picture. In 2015, at the end of the first year of statutory Key Stage 2 languages, 57% of schools said that they found transition a major challenge or quite challenging. 56% of primary schools were in contact with secondary schools, meeting together and exchanging information. At the time, secondary teachers said that they were concerned about the wide variations in quality of provision in Key Stage 2 and that they were sceptical of many primary schools' ability to deliver a worthwhile level of language knowledge that can be built on in Key Stage 3. To be honest, that could have been written this year. In 2020, 5 years later, only 44% of primaries were in contact with secondary schools. 74% of secondary schools reported having no data on their new Year 7's prior attainment. The report said that transition remains an area of major concern. Another 5 years on, in 2025, and only 30% of primary schools reported that they were in contact with one secondary school. The percentage in contact with more than one secondary school was considerably lower. 50.9% of schools were in contact with no secondary schools. So rather than improving as primary languages get more embedded in the curriculum, the picture is getting worse. Effective transition is vital for 7 years of quality language learning. Primary schools need to share information with the secondary schools, and secondary schools need to listen to and act on the information that they are given by adjusting their curricula. If we want to make lifelong language learners of our students, we can't assume that they will be okay with repeating in Year 7 content that they have covered in Key Stage 2. This will demotivate them. I would recommend that secondary schools look at teaching the usual content, but using new and more mature contexts. Research-wise, more studies are needed in order to develop a more robust understanding of the issues surrounding transition. At the moment, there are too many variables in the definitions of early and later starters and in the curriculum time dedicated at the different phases. One of the languages-specific recommendations of the 2025 Curriculum and Assessment Review relates to transition. Part of the review says, stakeholders frequently report that secondary schools tend to plan their Key Stage 3 curriculum backwards from GCSE requirements rather than forward from Key Stage 2 learning, resulting in repetition and leading to disengagement, especially among higher attaining students. So that links closely to what I was saying just now. The recommendation regarding transition is, we recommend that the government should explore the potential benefits of a coordinated approach in their local areas to the main language taught from Key Stage 2 through to Key Stage 4, taking account of their local context and priorities. The government should look to encourage this activity where appropriate. This recommendation has been accepted by the government, so effective transition is now a government priority. I would recommend looking into what you can do to get in touch with the secondary schools that your Year 6s will go to, and how you can pass on information about the language learning that they have done. The new revised curriculum is due for first teaching in 2028, so we have the time to start looking into this and to start to get it right. We will delve further into primary languages in the next videos.